What is that? Oh, that's me. Sorry. For some reason, I had Samuel L. Jackson talking in the background. I don't know where that was coming from. Welcome, everybody, to SQW, episode 19, Snakes on a Plane. Sorry about that. The things that happen when you have ESPN on in the background is when Samuel L. Jackson pops out of nowhere. For whoever did hear that. Anyways, I am Dali Domofsky. Joining me, as usual, on here on the big show is one John Keogh.
Over here, the name of this episode is Buried Alive.
Buried Alive. I like it.
We're recovering from about 2 feet of snow, so yeah, we got Buried Alive.
It's John Buried Alive Keogh. Dali Samuel L. Jackson Domofsky, and JJ.
Two-time SQW champion, thank you very much.
Two-time SQW champion, thank you very much, Holder. Also, drop the headset holder. JJ was trying to use a headset earlier that didn't seem to cooperate very well.
Yeah.
But that's all right. Technology is a wonderful thing. We have some fun to talk about. It's been a couple weeks. We waited past the Elimination Chamber event, which we're going to touch on real quickly. And there is quite a bit of news that popped up just over the last few days, really. So not even the last couple of weeks. But good to see you fine young lads once again.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Great to be back.
Great to be back. We're going to have Ben. Hopefully, Ben Wayne's going to pop up at some point. Ben is a former wrestler that is on the side questing staff. So it's always good to note that. But if he has the ability to join us, anyways, we do have some cool things to talk about. First and foremost, I'm gonna dive into the Elimination Chamber. So that was. And the kind of the fallout that came up after that.
Yeah.
So the big thing about the Elimination Chamber going into it, at least, was they're going to have to change the Elimination Chamber because the design is no longer conducive to a lot of newer stadiums and arenas and things that are out there where they have the big giant screens in the middle.
Yeah.
So people were curious as to how the contraption was going to be redesigned. Well, we sent our man on the street, JJ, two-time champion, thank you very much, Holder, to actually go there and tell us. So, JJ, what was it like?
I didn't go to the Elimination Chamber show. I went.
No, I'm just kidding.
I can't talk firsthand on that. I just went to the go-home show.
So, tell me a little bit about the Elimination Chamber, gentlemen. What was the big change?
Pretty much, like, the entire design of it was
changed.
Yeah. It was less. It used to be just almost like a dome shape, like it looked like a miniature, like domed arena. But they squared it off. They changed they're no longer pods. They're like isolation booths from like a game show.
Yeah.
The major change that they did in terms of sort of how the stage or the ring part of it works is that it used to just be steel. You go out to the ropes. It was steel. Right. This time they
floor,
wood, and it was padded, and it was flooring. Essentially, it was like basically being thrown outside the ring to the mat below, except you're not dropping down anymore. You're just dropping right onto more ring, essentially. So safer. They always rolled the dice with that match. Like it's amazing because they always did it before WrestleMania.
Yeah, I've never understood that choice to make these really risky matches events before the big show of the year, like risk the injury.
Those matches are more often than not, it's for the title. So you're putting your main event, a potential main event, on the line. 4 weeks at minimum.
Yeah, so. And granted, I mean, in a way, it kind of makes sense to have a general match after the Rumble because the Rumble usually sets up one guy. So if you're doing a co-branded thing, then having another one to set up the other guy is okay too, or the next feud, whatever is okay too. But I mean, one time Extreme Rules is the one right after Mania now, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Wasn't that before Mania for a while too, or something? I don't know. It just seemed really.
No, because I mean, I did go to No Way Out 2009. And that was an Elimination Chamber event. And that would have been in February, March time, even then. So it's been that the Chamber's been before WrestleMania for quite a while.
Quite a while, yeah.
Yeah, I mean they had it at what, at like New Year's Revolution back in like in the mid 2000s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like one of the first ones.
Yeah, I think it's also taller, like above the pods is definitely leveled off, where you can stand up there.
Stand on there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and you don't have to duck down from the ceiling. It seems to be a little bit taller, maybe more vertical rather than domed over.
Because they squared it off, so it's more like a cage now than it was before.
So and it has a cool logo right in the dead center for the look down shots. So
I was really curious to see how they were going to change it, but it is a definitely considerable change. But they're keeping some of the you mentioned the more of like the little pods now, I guess, is the rooms, I guess. But it's an interesting design. I wasn't as I guess my heart wasn't as tied to the first one, the previous Elimination Chamber. So I'm okay with the direction.
I mean,
I think thematically it looks better.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
I'm glad that it's safer. But I do kind of miss some of the little slightly cringeworthy moments that you used to get with the bang on the grating. But
and that's sort of
big picture's better.
Comes with sort of being a Smark 2 kind of situations where. You could suspend your belief because they're still playing it up as if it's steel out there, but
you could suspend your belief, but you couldn't suspend the chamber.
Yeah,
that's right.
I think part of it, just from the images I saw, it seemed a little bit more open as well. I think maybe it's for TV and broadcast that part of it's designed the way it is.
I think it films better. That's for sure.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Well, Ben has joined us. Ben, how's it going? I don't know. Hey, there he is.
Pretty good. How are you guys?
We're good. This is your first time on the show, Ben. Hopefully, we can we'll get you on here a few more times. I know you don't have a ton of time, but
I have the little one on my lap right now. So
excellent. We come up with everybody every week has a I don't want to call it a stage name, but a wrestler name, a nickname.
Okay.
So what's your nick? Do you have a nickname for yourself this week, or do you want me to come up with one?
I actually have one, but
that's true. So, let's go right into that. I'm glad you're here. Tell us why you actually have a wrestler nickname.
So I actually have been in the ring. I wrestled for well over 10 years inside a ring. My first promotion was called UWF, Underground Wrestling Federation, where we built our own ring and whatnot. So my wrestling name since 1998 has always been known as the Kamikaze Warrior. So yeah, that's what it was, and it's stuck ever since. And trying to get back into in-ring shape soon too.
Excellent. You're in dad shape right now, which John and I totally understand. So ring shape. So you wrestled for 10 years or so, right?
Yes.
I know when I first met you, you were kind of at the tail end of your wrestling career for a while. You were switching jobs and stuff, trying to figure all that stuff. So
pretty much, and then it was really hard because I love being in the ring and everything, but I had my own future to worry about. So
sure.
Put that in the back burner.
Yeah. So what was that like? Tell me a little bit about what it was like to be in the ring, getting your body completely wrecked and thrown around.
In a way, it was fun, but also painful at the same time. Where a lot of the moves that you see, yes, it is choreographed, but the impact really does hurt. Where when I get home and I'll take maybe a 10 to 15 minute nap, I'll wake up and I am just sore from the neck down. Everything hurts.
That's insane. Yeah, I can. I think the general consensus now that wrestling has kind of hit mainstream again is we know there's fakeness to it. It's not fake news. It's just fake wrestling. But the impacts are there. It hurts. It is a lot of physicality. That's why the wrestlers these days they're bigger and stronger and more in shape than they ever have been.
And you see a lot of the wrestlers now, they're like in the weight rooms, or they're doing cross training, or some sort of conditioning and whatnot. Where back then it's like, oh hey, I'm just gonna do this wrestling show,
Sure.
go to the bar, drink all night, and then
Yeah.
go the next couple days. So it's completely different from what it was back then to now.
Excellent. Well, we're glad to have you on here. The reason that I want to get you on, of course, obviously because you're a big wrestling fan and you've written a few articles about wrestling. But so I had a dream. I swear it's not. I'm not paraphrasing Dr. Martin Luther King, but I think it was last week or the week before. I had the craziest dream, and I thought I had to tell Ben about this, and it tied in because we were just talking about some of the wrestling stuff. Don't cry yet, Ben. It's gonna get there.
That's just Logan right there.
Hey, Logan. Your camera's off, but that's all right. So we were. It was right. It was bizarrely. It was all about the immigration stuff that's been happening in this country, right? So we had, I guess, in my dream, the ICE, which is kind of the immigration force, I guess, was going home to home. And was just every house in my neighborhood, people were getting ripped out of their house. No idea why I was dreaming about this, by the way. There's maybe I was watching just a bad movie. Context. Well, they came to our house, so of course we're freaked out. I'm like, okay, yeah, my parents and my wife's parents are both, they're immigrants. So I thought, okay, they're going to take me away. And so they slam, they bang on our door, and our bags are packed, we're ready to go. We open the door and we're ready to hand over our passports, and they both, like, the one guy, big dude, says, do you know where Ben is? I'm like, do I know where Ben is? No, I don't. Why would I? And he said, well, we're looking for him. I'm like, but he's not an immigrant. They said, this has nothing to do with immigration. We're the WWE's Hall of Fame committee, and we're going house to house looking for him. And at the moment I woke up and I'm like, what the heck was I dreaming about? What was I drinking ahead of time? I know we've been having conversations about the Hall of Fame here on the show, so I think a lot of the stuff just jumbled together.
Wow.
So you had 3 or 4 different things.
Yeah, yes, exactly. So there you go, Ben, and listeners and viewers. Ben had the government was after him to make sure that he was going to be in WWE's Hall of Fame.
See, when you told me that over Twitter, I was like, wait, what's going on? Like, how did this happen?
Now you know the story. Well, hopefully one day all 4 of us will be inducted in WWE Hall of Fame as the premier podcast of wrestling fanatics.
Yes,
but yeah,
stuck at Steve Austin. We're the
forget it. Sorry, Jim Ross. Anyways, that is a horrific tangent, but I'm sure it's not. It's the first of many.
As long as I'm not
deeply involved in the government, you can. Yeah. It's a possibility that
it's true. Vince McMahon was just at the White House with the family a couple days ago. So
as long as I'm not put on the list,
that's
all I worry about.
You'll be all right. Well, a few more things we're going to hit on here. Let's talk a little bit about some of the bigger news from this week. I want to mention that Brock Lesnar has informed the UFC that he is essentially retiring from MMA.
Forced retirement, really.
Forced retirement. Yeah.
He wasn't coming back.
Unencouraged retirement. Yeah.
Right. But do you guys think that this is a long-term play for WWE? Do you think he's going to do something else?
I mean, it's known that he has a long-term contract with WWE right now, so it's if nothing else, he's just going to be on their payroll for a little while more. So
I'm sure he's a big name. Everybody knows him. I don't know how good his acting skills are to know if he's going to be, probably not. I don't think he's Cena or Rock level. He's probably not even Undertaker level.
I don't think
his promo ability was never exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
So
I don't think he'll go that route, but I think he might be in a WWE for like the next couple years, and then he'll probably just go back to his farm.
Yeah,
that's true. Yeah.
And just retire from everything.
Yeah, I mean,
he made a ton of money.
His stock is already starting to sort of drop a little bit within the company. Like it's, him being there isn't as exciting as it once was. He's had sort of all of his big matches that he could have.
Well, I mean, depending on how this whole Goldberg thing shakes out and Goldberg's match with Kevin Owens, he could be champ again come April. Who knows? But I mean, it's I mean, if he works that light schedule, like, why not make a couple $1 million for a couple times a year? Why not, right?
Exactly. Be an attraction. There's no problem in being an attraction, like the Undertaker is, essentially. So, you know?
I mean, I can see the WWE making Brock similar to the Undertaker, where wrestles at WrestleMania if anyone wants to challenge him.
Yeah,
I can see that. So.
We do have another big, a couple more things here wrestling wise. We have a request from viewer Brian Parsons. He says, who's at B_Parsons007 says, who should induct the Rock and Roll Express? Jim Cornette? That would be an interesting one.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't know if the WWE would bring in Jim Cornette.
It's a tough one.
It's a tough one. There are some people who are never, unfortunately, coming back to WWE.
Yeah.
No, never say never.
That's true. You're right. You're right. With all the Hogan rumors, yeah.
He would be very appropriate.
I mean,
but maybe a tough sell.
Yeah, it would probably end up being somebody like Lawler or something. Somebody that they would have, like, because like they worked those territories and stuff.
Sure.
Somebody that would tangentially have been associated with the Rock and Roll Express, probably.
Maybe Jim Ross call many of their matches.
I don't know.
Maybe when they did some stuff in the NWA at some point, like, you would think. But
I don't know.
That's a tough one. That is a real tough one. I can't think of one name that would do it, but except for Jerry.
Ben Wayne? I'm just kidding.
that was your Hall of Fame call. That was actually.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Be inducted to induct someone else. I did want to touch base on the Orton Wyatt stuff that just happened this week as well. John, do you want to kind of explain what took place?
Well, Bray beat the odds, so to speak, and finally won his first championship after losing many big matches in big feuds. So for me, it was quite a relief to see him do it, and did it in pretty convincing fashion. Actually,
there were a lot of good, a really good response from people. Watching.
And that match was tight. I thought that was a really good match. I mean, overall, the Elimination Chamber show, the undercard, I could take it or leave it, but the Chamber match with Bray winning was definitely a great capper. And so Bray won the championship. He beat Cena and AJ in a rematch on Tuesday, kind of solidifying his spot there. And Orton came out thereafter, the Rumble winner, declaring he would not challenge Bray out of loyalty, I guess. And so now there's going to be a battle royal on Tuesday coming to determine the new contender. And I guess the favorite for that is Mr. Luke Harper, who attacked Bray before the match. And I think the plan might be looking toward a triple threat.
That really sort of seems like if it's Luke, then it's going to be a triple threat match.
For Mania, yeah. Which I don't have much trouble with,
Yeah, like a sort of like a all Wyatt family main event isn't too crazy, really. Like that could be. I really, really like Luke Harper.
Yeah.
So
as long as Bray wins.
Yeah.
Or Luke, but not Orton. Not Orton, please.
I mean, it's funny with the Rumble stuff, like with Orton refusing to wrestle and stuff. That like they could have followed continuity if they kept the continuity. Follow the 1999 Royal Rumble storyline.
What was that?
Which one was that one?
That's where Vince McMahon won, and he.
Oh, that's right.
He gave up his main event spot, so that led to Shawn Michaels, who was commissioner at the time, saying, "Well, the WWE rulebook says the second place person gets the championship spot," which was Steve Austin then. So that was that deal. So I guess that would make Roman Reigns the number one contender.
Oh,
wow!
No.
Yeah, get out of here, man.
I'm just saying, there's continuity there, and you know how WWE loves their continuity.
Yeah.
They do, and you know what? And if they went that route and Reigns was the new contender for a championship, I would have been like, no, I'm done.
Yeah, exactly.
I cannot not
again.
No.
A third WrestleMania in a row. That's
no.
Oh,
I can't.
He's the designated survivor of wrestling. It's kind of what it seems like. It's like, well, we'll just throw Roman Reigns in there, I guess, since everything else is screwed up.
Yeah,
guys, not again, and they can't even make him an actual full heel, which is oh god, it's
just make him a heel.
Just do it. Just go all out. He'll get more respect that way because people already hate him.
Give him a 1-year run as as the top bad guy of Monday Night Raw, and I think people would be okay with that.
Just give it a go, yeah.
Yeah, just worst case scenario, you just put him right back where he was.
Yeah, exactly. It literally can only go up with whatever you do.
I mean, just do I guess treat him like the Stone Cold when he went heel. And even then, he didn't really went heel because people were still cheering for him.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly.
Heel-ish.
Well, it wasn't really heelish. It was actually just funny.
Yeah, they just made him. He turned himself into a comedy character when he went heel, which was.
So there is some other entertainment news that kind of bubbled up. It's been bubbling up. I'll kind of get with the movies, a couple movies going on right now. There is work being done on an Andre the Giant documentary.
Yeah, for HBO.
For HBO with Bill Simmons and is it Vince McMahon is tied into that? And
it's a WWE HBO co-production.
Yep.
It's collaboration.
Yep, which is pretty big because Andre was just I don't want to say a massive figure in wrestling, but he was a huge. Well, when they announced that, I went back and looked at some of the just photographs of Andre the Giant, and I remember growing up thinking he really was a giant. This dude really was a giant.
He was. Yeah, everything about him was just
huge.
He looks like it would have been terrifying to meet him in person.
Yep.
What's great about the collaboration, just imagine the footage that they're going to dig out of the old archives stuff of Andre's stuff that you've never seen.
Yeah, because WWE has put out good documentaries for their own stars before.
Yeah.
You throw in behind HBO, like a high-end production company like that, you can actually make something really interesting.
Oh, real special.
Yeah.
Something real special, something real different than what the WWE does, because they always try to keep everything a little kayfabe, like when they do their documentaries and stuff.
Just an element, just a sprinkle.
Yeah, I feel like you can't do that with something like this.
Right.
That's what I think having HBO involved says.
Yes.
WWE could instantly do that on their own if they wanted to. They have, and they would.
Yeah, and they have. What's been kind of good about the collaborations is that, obviously we're talking about the Andre the Giant collaboration. This is the XFL. Was a ESPN 30 for 30 that debuted, I think it was a couple weeks ago, last week, right after our last show.
Yeah, it was literally right after our show.
It was literally,
the show ended and we started that.
Yep, and so this was a documentary about the XFL, and it was put on for ESPN and WWE, a co-production, and NBC was involved as well. I know the son of who was the NBC exec at the time, Vince McMahon's buddy, but his son directed it and kind of coordinated it. So it was an actual documentary. It was great. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah. And
we were just kind of saying before the show started that they had rushed this thing so quickly. So for those who don't know, the XFL was the professional football league that the WWE or Vince McMahon specifically wanted to put together with the NBC with NBC. And they wanted to have a springtime football league. And the reason NBC was involved was because they had lost the contract for football that had gone to Fox and CBS, and they didn't really have anything going on. So they needed football back, and they decided, let's partner up with WWE, Vince McMahon, and I can't remember the name, but the NBC gentleman, but they were good friends. They said, let's do this. We have partners. We can take care of it. Well, they actually started the talks like in the late 90s. I think Vince McMahon had the initial idea before, I think it was 2000 where they fully announced it, right? Sometime in 2000.
Yeah, it would have been, because it would have been just around before the buying of WCW, but it came out the league started in the middle of the WCW buyout. So it was
2001. Yeah, it's admittedly, I didn't get to watch the whole thing. I only, as I mentioned to the guys before we went on air, I only caught the first 15 minutes before the plow came and blocked my driveway. But because I wanted to be prepped for the show, but that's how it goes. But of what I remember of the XFL and the few bits I saw today or this evening, it was interesting. I'd forgotten how much wrestling DNA was in there, and certainly in those beginning.
The promos,
the Rock doing promos and Jim Ross and stuff, and you always hear that this is the XFL, but yeah, the press conferences that Vince was having beforehand, like
before he even had he announced it before there was a network, team names, anything.
Exactly right. So much pageantry and hype, and he was that's Vince for you, right?
Well, and then Brian Parsons says, a viewer says, Vince actually at one point tried to buy the CFL or get something into the CFL. So maybe that's something that spurred this. But what I found interesting about this whole thing, and we'll talk about real quickly about how fast it was put together. But they really weren't prepared for how bad things could get, and then as soon as something bad happened, something even worse would happen almost right after that. It started with this the blimp. Remember the blimp incident?
Blimp crashed,
Or the blimp crashed outside an NFL game, which was that was the signal. That was the omen right there. It literally crashed. It was in New Orleans. I can't remember where it was. Miami, New Orleans. So the blimp crashes. The season starts. The first game isn't very good. They had but they had tons of viewers. They had a record, I think 50 million viewers.
It was an insane amount of they had whipped up the people into a frenzy about the concept of more football after football. So
started just shortly after the Super Bowl. So everybody was excited. They have big numbers, but not that many people watching. So the second week, they said, we have to really kind of do this. We're going to lead into Saturday Night Live. They made a big deal about that. Well, the power goes out on the feed for what was essentially a fantastic game. They get the power back on. So they've already lost a half hour, 40 minutes. They had switched to another game at that point. They get the power back on, and the game is fantastic. It goes to double overtime, and it bites into Saturday Night Live. So it's just Jennifer Lopez is supposed to host and do the music. There were all kinds of people upset and angry. So the ratings just kept going down. So after having phenomenally high ratings that first week.
And it didn't help that Dick Ebersol and Lord Michaels were friends. So it's like this is a friendly thing that's now turning into, well, you're screwing me over now, Dick.
And it got down to from historically high to historically low ratings. And they just kept trying to do gimmicks and gimmicks. And every gimmick they tried, something bad would happen. Yeah.
By mid-season, it went full WWE.
It did. It just gave up.
WWE. It was just now we're in the locker rooms now.
And it's actually a dream. It's not really a lie. The coaches hated it because the coaches, I think they were interviewing one of the team coaches. He did not want to talk to who was Jesse Ventura. Oh man, it was just unbelievably bad. Everything.
Well, it's because all the football coaches were football coaches. They weren't XFL coaches. They wanted to play football.
Exactly.
Sort of the fundamental rules of football to them. And Nobody wanted to condone no fair catches.
Correct. Yeah, and the constant rule changes. I think one of the interesting things was the players both had to run out to the center of the field to capture the ball. Well, they said 60% of the people that did that got injured on that first play, which means wait a minute, there's only 2 people doing it. If 60%, that means more than half the time, both people got injured running out for the ball in the middle of the field.
Yeah, you needed to have a DH, a designated hitter kind of situation.
At that point, just get a sprinter to run out there that they're never going to be playing the game again. Everything that could go wrong went wrong. They had some really bad games. The viewership went down. I remember they had they hired strippers in Vegas and had them in the hot tub. In the end zone. A hot tub in the end zone with strippers.
Hot tub in the end zone that they hired strippers to hang out in.
Was that real?
Lord. Yeah, it was
100% real.
100% real. But for for the phenomenal disaster that it was in terms of viewership and ratings, and I actually do think that had they stabilized some of this stuff, it could have continued at least a couple more seasons. A lot of the players ended up going to the NFL or the CFL. They won. There's players that played in and won a Super Bowl. There's players that even won an XFL championship, won the NFL Super Bowl, and even won the CFL Grey Cup. So there's a guy who's done all three of those things. So he literally has played in every major football league in the last decade.
Yeah, and I mean, the poster boy, He Hate Me.
He Hate Me, like, Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he had his NFL career, like a good NFL career.
Exactly.
Too, so.
Tommy Maddox. Tommy Maddox also won a Super Bowl. Corey Ivy, Fred Coleman, Ron Carpenter. Lots of players went to the Super Bowl. It was it was a successful league. And you look at like the technology, right? They said we have to make this like Madden, right? Because all the kids are playing video games.
Yeah, that's the most brilliant thing. And like miking up your players. Like, oh, it's all big. Like, that's just standard practice now. And so that's pretty cool.
The different camera angles. I mean, they actually did do quite a bit that carried over into the NFL. And
the NFL decided not to carry over the having a cameraman on the
yeah, that was whoops. But again, it was they did manage to be kind of trailblazers in a lot of things. So the XFL lasted one season. They barely even got started because the players didn't even know what teams they were going to be on, like at the end of December, beginning of January. Yeah. They hardly announced teams. Oh, it was a mess.
If they had more than like 1 month to like practice playing football, it might have played out a little better for them. But they rushed it so hard. Like they screwed everything up at the very beginning.
Yep. You have to get that foundation down. When you do anything, you have to get that foundation down right.
You can't just have training camp for 3 weeks and then have your kickoff game.
Yep.
Like that's impossible.
I don't even think it was 3. It was like 2 weeks for some teams and like 1 week for another team, and it was just unbelievable.
Yeah, it's terrible. It was really, it was dead before it started kind of thing. But that's how you're going to run your company kind of situation. At the very, very end of that, where they had Dick Ebersol and Vince McMahon having dinner together and sort of teasing the idea of doing football again.
Which is not going to happen. Don't believe it. No. It's not going to happen. But yes, teasing again. There has been talk about springtime football. There actually are plenty of leagues out there, surprisingly, but nothing is going to take. But that tease was there, and
was it me, or did that seem like it was a very awkward moment to watch?
It was.
Talking about that, it's like, no, that's not, and no, don't tease us. No, just don't.
Yeah,
that whole dinner was awkward.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, that felt like a Vince McMahon thing. Like that was his idea.
We should do a dinner together. Yeah.
Listen, pal.
Yeah, pal.
There's already
the salt.
Have some steak.
Can you pass the salt?
I already have a show called Dinner for Three. Table for Three. Let's just have some dinner.
Well, it was a meteoric success. No, meteoric disaster. That's what I was trying to say. But at the same time, it was successful in some very specific ways. Memorable, to say the least. Yeah. Because you bring up any of those moments, and someone will say, "Oh my God, I remember that! I remember the strippers in the end zone. I remember the guys basically dying on the field."
It was funny to be reminded of all of those weird things, like, "Oh yeah, that's right, they did do the hot tub thing," or "Oh, that's right, that blimp did just crash." Before the season ever started, they crashed a blimp. Like, yeah, that's right.
Yep, the XFL. That was the XFL. That's definitely.
There's another 30 for 30 wrestling related 30 for 30 coming.
Yeah.
So
that's Ric Flair, right?
One at some point very soon. So.
That's true. That'll probably happen either before or right around. I'm gonna assume WrestleMania, right? That seems like good timing because this was done right around Royal Rumble. So
yeah.
We found out about it in like December.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, and the Ric Flair one was announced before the XFL.
Yes.
One, so
yes,
and there was promos for it before that. So it should, at any time, whenever they're ready. It seems like they just kind of push those 30 for 30s when they feel is the appropriate time. Right?
Yep.
Well, it's also close to the Super Bowl too, right?
Yeah, it's true. It was Super Bowl time. It was Royal Rumble, so everything kind of fit all together. That's a good point. The last bit of news before we shut down here. The Rock is involved in a wrestling movie, and it's not about him. It's about Paige, which I found to be very interesting. So The Rock is producing a movie about Paige's life, her struggles getting into wrestling, and her family. A lot of people are behind it. Vince Vaughn actually just signed on recently to be in it. Now, I don't know enough about Paige. Can one of you guys fill me in on what makes her, why this could be a good idea?
It's just her family. I mean, it's the crux of that movie is going to be her family, because her family is everyone's a wrestler.
Oh, okay, all right.
Yeah, both parents are wrestlers. They run their own small fed, I believe, over there in the Kingdom, and and she was one of the, I guess her brother tried to make it over in the U.S. as well, I think. Yeah. But she was the only real export out of the family, and she's a pretty big star, and
sure.
But she hasn't been around lately, and she's been some questionable stuff going on, I suppose. But
multiple issues. I mean, she got the drug hit, the policy back to back.
Now, I would doubt that'll be part of the movie.
Yeah.
but it'll be about her folks and all that's going on over there.
Yeah. Right.
It will probably that seems like a movie that will end by the time she gets to WWE. Like that will be the climax of this.
Yeah,
movie.
that could be.
It might just end like right around NXT and her winning the title and whatnot.
Yeah. I think. I think
cast somebody to play Alberto Del Rio.
I think I read that she beat her own mother for a championship, or vice versa.
Huh. Yes, I think that's what happened. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's a very close family still too. So.
Oh, of course, yeah.
So
who do you think?
I'm sure they wrestled a bunch of times over there.
So who do we think Vince Vaughn is playing? Vince? Is he going to play Vince McMahon?
That wouldn't be. That might maybe.
I would love to see that.
That would be great.
Vince McMahon
it wouldn't be too bad, actually.
Yeah.
With Vince Vaughn being a comedic actor, it does kind of fit in. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
He could do the voice.
See that movie sort of like visually how that movie shapes up, just to see how like WWE through the eyes of Hollywood, that'll be interesting. Very interesting.
Mm-hmm. Well, gents, that is it for this evening. We did manage to cover quite a bit, surprisingly. There's a lot of news. We found out about my horrific, bizarre dreams. We talked about some of the documentaries. We were joined by a wrestling Illuminati in our midst here. We talked about Elimination Chamber. Great show, guys, as usual. Thank you to Brian for chiming in. Always thankful when people send us questions for the show. With that said, you can find us at SQW Podcast on the Twitters. We're gonna try to get set up here on Twitch too. I think that's also something that I'm gonna figure out how to do. But in the meantime, just definitely find us on the YouTube channel, which you're watching this on now, on sidequesting.com. And I've been uploading this to all kinds of places to get us more eyeballs and get people who are interested in wrestling. You can find us individually at Dali Domovsky is where I'm located. John, where can we find you?
I am at John Kehoe. That's spelled JONKEHOE.
Two-time champ JJ Holder. Where can they find you?
At _double_J.
That's right. And Ben, where can we find you?
You can find me at Ben X Win.
All right.
Yeah.
And your son Logan agrees, definitely. Well, thank you, everybody. We'll see you all on the next SQW podcast.
Good night.
Good night.